The morning my wife destroyed my career was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I walked into the headquarters of a struggling technology company in downtown Chicago with a signed ownership agreement locked inside a simple manila envelope. After years of sacrifice, sleepless nights, and silent perseverance, I had finally accomplished what everyone said was impossible. But before I could reveal the truth, the woman I loved stood in front of hundreds of employees, pointed at me with cold eyes, ripped away my company badge, and ordered security to escort me out like I was a criminal. The room filled with whispers, laughter, and raised phones recording my humiliation, while I remained silent because I knew something they didn't. Within the next hour, every person in that office would discover that the man they mocked had become the new owner of the company that very morning. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is never weakness and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us why character always matters. My name is Nathan Brooks, and for nearly 12 years I had dedicated my life to Horizon Dynamics, a respected software company in Chicago, Illinois. I wasn't the loudest employee or the one constantly seeking recognition. Instead, I quietly solved problems, stayed late whenever projects were behind schedule, and treated every coworker with respect. My dream had never been fame or power. I simply wanted to build something meaningful. 5 years earlier, I met Vanessa at a leadership conference. She was confident, intelligent, and incredibly ambitious. Her determination fascinated me, and before long we were building both a relationship and a future together. Everyone admired us as the perfect power couple. While I focused on operations and long-term strategy, Vanessa climbed through management with breathtaking speed. Eventually she became Chief Operating Officer, and I celebrated every promotion she earned. What no one knew was that our marriage slowly changed as her career accelerated. Success became everything to Vanessa. Promotions mattered more than conversations. Status mattered more than family dinners. She began measuring people by titles instead of character, and somewhere along the way she stopped seeing me as her husband. Instead, I became someone standing in the shadow of her growing authority. Meanwhile, Horizon Dynamics began experiencing serious financial problems. Poor executive decisions, expensive acquisitions, and declining investor confidence pushed the company toward collapse. Employees feared layoffs, clients started leaving, and rumors spread through every department. Unlike most people, I knew something extraordinary was happening behind the scenes. Months earlier, a private investment group had quietly approached me because they respected my reputation and believed I understood the company's true value. They wanted someone who cared about the employees rather than quick profits. After weeks of confidential negotiations, I invested nearly everything I had saved over a lifetime, partnered with several trusted investors, and completed the purchase of controlling ownership that very morning. Only the lawyers and board members knew. I intended to announce the news later that afternoon after meeting with the executive team. I wanted to reassure every employee that layoffs would stop and the company would rebuild together. But fate had other plans. Around 10 o'clock, an email summoned every employee to the main conference hall. Nobody knew why. Hundreds gathered, filling every seat while managers lined the walls. Vanessa walked confidently onto the stage wearing a dark green dress and carrying herself like someone completely in control. Her voice echoed through the room as she spoke about accountability, performance, and difficult leadership decisions. Then she called my name. Every eye turned toward me. Confused but calm, I stood and walked to the front. Without hesitation, Vanessa began listing exaggerated complaints about my performance. She accused me of lacking commitment, resisting executive decisions, and holding the company back. Every sentence felt colder than the last. I searched her face, hoping to find some sign that this was a misunderstanding, but there was nothing except calculated confidence. She removed my employee badge in front of everyone and dropped it onto the conference table. The sound echoed through the silent room. Then she announced that I was terminated effective immediately. Some employees lowered their heads in sympathy. Others exchanged uncomfortable glances. A few laughed quietly. One manager even raised his phone, recording the moment for social media. The humiliation cut deeper than any professional setback because it came from the person who had once promised to stand beside me through every season of life. Security approached politely, waiting for instructions. I could have stopped everything. I could have opened the envelope. Instead, I simply thanked the security officers for doing their jobs and walked toward the exit without saying a word. As I reached the doors, the corporate attorney entered the room carrying another folder. His expression changed instantly when he saw me leaving. He hurried onto the stage and whispered something into Vanessa's ear. The confidence disappeared from her face. She frowned. He whispered again. The color drained from her cheeks. Within seconds the room transformed from confident celebration into complete confusion. The attorney stepped to the microphone and calmly announced that an emergency board meeting had concluded earlier that morning. Effective immediately, Horizon Dynamics had officially been acquired, and the new majority owner was already present inside the building. Everyone looked around. Then the attorney turned toward me. He respectfully addressed me as Mr. Brooks and invited me back to the front. You could hear people gasping across the room. Vanessa stood frozen. The phone recording my humiliation slowly lowered. I walked back to the stage carrying the same plain envelope that everyone had ignored. Inside were the ownership documents. Silence filled the room. I looked across the faces of employees who had worked tirelessly despite months of uncertainty. Many feared losing their homes. Some were supporting sick parents. Others were raising young children while worrying every day about layoffs. This moment was never about revenge. It was about responsibility. I thanked every employee for their loyalty during difficult times. I acknowledged their sacrifices and promised that the culture of fear would end immediately. There would be no mass layoffs. Departments would be reorganized fairly. Leadership would once again value integrity over ego. Then I quietly announced that executive conduct would also be reviewed without exceptions. Vanessa's eyes filled with panic. For the first time in years, she realized that titles could disappear overnight. Over the following weeks, independent investigators uncovered years of poor executive decisions, favoritism, and unethical treatment of employees. Several executives resigned voluntarily. Others were removed by the board. Vanessa was among them. I never celebrated her downfall. Despite everything that happened, she had once been the woman I loved deeply. One evening she came to my office after everyone else had gone home. She apologized with tears in her eyes. Not because she had lost her position, but because she finally understood what ambition had turned her into. She admitted that somewhere along the way she had confused power with worth, authority with respect, and success with happiness. She confessed that she had stopped appreciating the quiet man who had supported every one of her dreams. Forgiveness came easier than trust. I forgave her because carrying bitterness would only poison my own future. But rebuilding our marriage required honesty neither of us had practiced for years. We began counseling. Some days brought progress. Others reopened old wounds. Whether our marriage survived mattered less than whether we became better human beings. At Horizon Dynamics, something remarkable happened. Employees who had once feared coming to work started smiling again. Managers listened instead of commanding. Ideas mattered more than job titles. Productivity improved because people finally felt respected. Clients returned. Profits slowly recovered. More importantly, hope returned. Looking back, I realized that buying the company had never been my greatest achievement. Remaining humble when I finally had power was. Because true leadership isn't proven when everyone applauds you. It's revealed when you have every reason to seek revenge but choose compassion instead. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like, share it with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts in the comments because your support helps bring more inspiring stories like this to life. Special request: before this story ends, tell us in the comments, if you had been in Nathan's place, would you have chosen revenge or forgiveness? Life has an incredible way of revealing the truth. Titles fade. Wealth comes and goes. Public opinions change overnight. But kindness, humility, and integrity remain long after the applause ends. Sometimes the people who underestimate you become the very people who teach the world never to judge someone by their position. Nathan lost his job for only a few minutes, but he gained something far more valuable that day, a chance to prove that real success isn't measured by how much power you hold, but by how much grace you show when power finally belongs to you. And that lesson transformed not only one broken company, but every life connected to it forever.